Good morning, beautiful souls. Welcome back or welcome to The Hawk and I. My name is Lana Zelinsky, and I work in the spirit dimensions. As always, in all my videos or on my live feeds, simply take what resonates, and you're welcome to leave the rest right here. How are we this Wednesday? It's a glorious day as always, and it will be what we decide it's going to be as well. It'll be what we decide to make it. I'll give you all a chance just to come on here. I hope that you are able to join me this morning. If not, there's always a replay. Hello, look at you all coming in. It's good to see you. Hello. I am running a few minutes late. The school bus was a little bit late this morning with the pickup, so I needed to just kind of pause for a moment, and it's okay, right? We talked about on Monday being prepared to pivot quickly. We talked about cosmic support being heightened. We talked about digging deep and letting go and shedding, things that no longer serve us, or just being able to kind of move through some things. We also talked about leaning into what recharges us. And also the whole short fused, headstrong, stubborn, heated emotions. So I'm just curious, just by a quick comment or two in the chat, how many of you are feeling this? How many of you have been feeling action, motivation, letting go of feelings, that quick pivot, being able to move through new things? Because what Spirit said. Kind of leans into a little bit of that. It's more of what Spirit said. I had a really interesting conversation with Spirit this morning. Kayla, I'm feeling it especially this morning. Yeah. Rami, I aced one final, got one left. Good for you. Motivation and action, says Sonia. Yes, good. Yes, here we are. Okay, so that's really nice validation. Clearing a lot of things out, says Camilla. Um, what Spirit said to me this morning kind of picks up from there, and Spirit had some really interesting questions. And when Spirit asks me questions, it's for a few reasons. Quite often, and I'll be honest with you, sometimes struggles to understand us here in the physical world, and I'm serious. Sometimes Spirit will be like, "What the heck," and I'll be like, "Okay, let me explain that to you." And it's okay, right? It's okay that we're learning, and it's okay that we're kind of navigating through some things. But what Spirit talked about was the focus on the whole unwanted piece. As soon as something kind of shifts or moves or something happens that's unwanted, we are all over it like stink on a monkey. We are so quick. Spirits like you're so quick, meaning all of us. You're so quick to jump in on the unwanted, but you shy away from the wanted, and you shy away from that action, and you shy away from the motivation. And it's almost like yeah, Spirit, sometimes we do that here in the physical world. And what Spirit said was, it's okay to do a little bit at a time, to shift those thoughts a little bit, to pick up a little bit of the motivation. Here in the physical world, we tend to be all in or we tend to be all out. And I kind of chuckled to myself. I was like, yeah, that's true. Well, that's true, right? Like how many of you will admit that? Like we're kind of like it has to be all good or we're out. And I think sometimes when it comes to being able to pick up and motivate what active vibration or what's going to kind of lead the way, and what kind of trust we're going to have, because we want to know all the answers and we don't want the unwanted. And Spirit's like, well, what about the wanted? What about what you do want? What about what is available? What about those things that you can kind of start moving through? And I said, well, Spirit, sometimes we want to be further ahead than what we are. And Spirit answered me back with, everything's on schedule. What are you talking about? Everything's on schedule. You're aware of your emotions. You're aware of the indicators of change that's coming, and it will keep going on replay until you're ready to pick it up. Everything's on schedule for you, and for all of us, right? So the conversation being for all of us, and the reminders from Spirit will continue to come. They're like, we'll continue to remind them, or we'll continue to push them until they're ready to pick it up, until they're ready to jump into that change, and if it's a little bit at a time, that's okay too. And I think, and I suddenly felt us collectively with the whole unwanted and wanted piece, leaning a little bit more out of the things that we don't want and the things that we need to change and the little steps at a time. And that kind of leaked into a little bit of that stubbornness and that hard-headed that we talked about on Monday, because we do get into that, right? We do get into leaning into those places of yeah buts, or the things that are not right. And spirit is pushing us a little bit more this week to kind of lean in there into the cosmic support, into the spirit guides piece of it, into leaning into that momentum. And if it's little steps, they need to be enough. And spirit just kind of went like that with me when I was channeling that, though, that those little progress, those little steps, they do add up to a big distance. And sometimes we do kind of like say, "Yeah, I'm ready and I'm running with it. I'm ready and I'm tackling it." And we kind of lean into a little bit of the sometimes it's procrastination, but also it we do kind of lean into, and I'll use this word of denial, right? We kind of deny things a little bit because we don't want to accept things for as they are, or we don't want to accept people for as they are and where other people are on their journey. And that kind of has a whole bit of it's almost like kind of like super fog for us. We kind of lose track of that, but spirit says your awareness of what needs to be changed and the emotion is your indicator. So how are you feeling? Right? Is because people always say, "Well, I really don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know." And I'll say, "Yeah, you do. Lean into the emotion. How are you feeling? Are you feeling that it's time to take that step? Are you feeling that you just need a little bit more time to process and pause? Or are you feeling that distrust?" The emotion is the indicator of where you're at with it all and what are the next steps with it. Right. And sometimes with the emotion being the indicator, sometimes we do need to spend a little bit more time grieving, or spend a little bit more time preparing, or spend a little more time kind of getting ourselves ready for it. And it's okay. We lean into that burnout space energetically when we don't acknowledge how we're feeling, when we don't acknowledge that space that we're in. And sometimes, and spirit will say this, sometimes it's that big push from the universe that we're going to give you to see if that helps kick you into a better space. And they say it so lovingly. Like when spirit tries to move us forward, they do it very lovingly. And that quite often is when the repeat patterns come in, isn't it? When we start seeing the repeat lessons, it's like, oh, something's on replay here, something's on replay here, something's on replay here. And spirit is simply saying, have a look, have a feel, tap into that, process that emotion, process getting ready to let go of ABC or that person. And it's that repeat, but we're still where we're supposed to be. And spirit was very, very gentle with that. We're afraid to restart. We're afraid to try again. And sometimes we feel like we just can't hang in there. And we often need to know when to let go and when to hang on, right? And it's that process and that little bit, a little bit, and a little bit more. And then we'll lean into a little bit of and I said that, and I've done it myself, you guys, that process. Heck no, I won't go. Heck no, I'm not putting that down yet. I'm not ready. I haven't processed how I feel about that yet. I truly don't know. It's the emotion that is the indicator. And sometimes we need a little bit of time to kind of shift out of that, or a little bit of time to be able to figure out how can I let that go? Where can I get support for that? Where can I shift into? And it is hard. And spirit does know that it's hard for us here in all of our learning. It's time to pick a new activation. When you feel it's ready, it's time to activate something different in your vibration, and spirit will continue to give you to try and get your attention with it. So, I always say, what's been going on? Kind of have a look in there. And are you ready to shift out? And if you're not ready to shift out, are you ready to start processing it? Are you ready to stop being so headstrong with it or so stubborn with it? And allowing is the hardest thing to do. And some people, find it easier to allow. I've learned to allow. I've learned trying to not add resistance to it. And if I am resisting something, I will ask myself why. Why? What's the emotion? What's the fear? What do I need to acknowledge? What is it that's so hard to put down? It's very interesting perspective, and and I think we are going to continue with this action and motivation, and let's get moving through feelings. And I do feel it as big bursts of energy coming in. There's a lot of energy that's moving in the next several weeks, and it's going to be about that. It's going to be about that action and motivation. We and to kind of work through that short fuse of not getting what I want. Sometimes not getting what we want is a blessing, and that is the hardest thing to understand. Right. And sometimes things are shown to us to get us to move through, and spirit will always continue to show you that. They will always continue with love and support. And when you're ready to move through that, you will take those steps a little bit more, a little bit more confidently, and a little bit more trusting, and a little bit more less, with that less fear piece. And until then, we're supported. And I think that that is a huge piece to kind of lean into, is being in that supportive place rather than kind of bullying yourself with, I'm still learning this, and I'm still processing this, and this is not going right for me. And I think, and it doesn't have to be on the big scale things. I'll use a very small example for myself. Many of you, if you follow me on social media, well, I've seen that I did a post about a venue change that needed to be done, due to a situation that was out of my control. And my first reaction was like, why? I can't do this. I can't change that. People have bought tickets, and I just kind of had to lean out of that with, there's a reason for this, and I can either be in resistance with it and struggle, or I can go with the flow, change the date, and just allow it to be what it needs to be. And sometimes that's the space that's the hardest to get to, isn't it? Is, I'm just going to allow this to be what it needs to be. I'm going to allow that person to do what they need to do. I'm going to allow myself. I'm going to allow myself, right? And just kind of watch and kind of lean into. And is there another reason? Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes it's just that moment that needs to be adjusted in time. And sometimes there's a big reason for it. And just to stay in that observation, just to stay in that what's required, just to kind of letting things flow. And that is one of the hardest things for us to do, because we do want control, and we do have resistance, and we do go kicking and screaming, and we do lean into what's not wanted. And spirit I must have asked me that 3 times before I was able to give them an answer. Why do we lean into so much of the unwanted stuff? It's like we turn the volume up on that vibration. We turn the volume up on what's wrong. We turn the volume up on what's not going well. We turn the volume up rather than looking at it. So, if you've got stuff going on, just kind of soften a little bit into that unwanted, but also take a look at it. Take a look at the emotions, take a look at what's been going on. And is this a push, or is this a push to change it? Wow, okay. I know that was a lot to kind of ramble off at you this morning, but that's exactly how Spirit gave it to me. Was in a bit of a rant, a bit of a ramble. And they will, Spirit has and does quite frequently, even with my own personal stuff. They will rant at me. They will rant, and they will rant, because they it's like we've served it to you on a silver platter, and all you've got to do is pick it up. But you keep putting up that wall, or that distance between, what needs to be done because of the unwanted. Well, this isn't going the way I thought it was going to go, or it's not happening in the time frame that it's happening, or I need all of this in place before I'm willing to make a change. And spirit's like, no, you don't. You just need to make the change. You don't have to have everything, perfectly aligned before you take that leap. And when the volume gets turned up, that's when it's time to really take a look at it. So how do you know? How do you know that it's time to change? How do you know it's time to move forward? Go back into the emotion, but go back to the volume that things are happening. Go back when things start to happen, and I'll say to spirit, "Oh, I didn't catch that one." And the spirit's like, "Yeah, I know. That's why I turned it up for you to hear it." Or I didn't see that coming. Yeah, we showed you here, here, and here, and here, but you either weren't ready to accept it, and it's okay, or you weren't ready to shift out of it, and that's okay. You're where you're supposed to be, and it's just about the learning, and it's just about the process, and that's how we move forward. The unwanted is such a loud vibration, and spirits like we just don't understand it. And I'm like, "Well, it's because of our learning." And they're like, "Yeah, we understand that part of it, but it's just I think that they struggle a little bit with the support is there, and all you have to do is go like that. I think that's the part that's kind of like spirits like, "We're right here. We're offering it up. The change is here. You just have to go like that." And we say, "Well, yeah, but this isn't right, and that's not ready, and this isn't perfect." I hope that this resonates to all of you. I am gonna scroll up and, see what you guys are chit-chatting about. I don't look at the chat until after I've channeled, because I find it too distracting. That's why I always go back and scroll from the top. So let's see what's going on here. Okay, here we go. Back at the top. Wesley, today's electronics. Today are the elections of the Dutch House of Commons. Oh, elections. It's that's a soupy energy for me. Anything to do with politics, I find quite soupy. But Wes, sending you love, light, and support as you navigate through that. The hat is there again. The hat will probably be here every live for the next couple until Christmas. I love my little hat, and it does bring a lot of cheer. Kyle, today is my last day of training. So great to see you, Lana. It's great to see you too, Kyle, and well done. Kyle, I hope that you're enjoying all this training. I hope that you're enjoying the new beginnings. I hope that you're enjoying, and sometimes we forget to enjoy those things because we know there's nervousness or perhaps there's some things that were going on. But make sure that you enjoy, right? I even try to enjoy being stuck in traffic. I look at it as, no, I've been given this glorious pause. I'm going to be late for something, but there's birds flying by or there's clouds in the sky. I try to kind of enjoy every moment. So Kyle, I really enjoy this. Enjoy this new beginning and this training. Good to see everybody here. I am feeling it, especially this morning, says Kyla. Short fuse this week for sure. Yeah. Motivation and action. Sonia likes those words. Shannon is feeling it. Yep. Linda, do you have any messages from my husband? Almost 5 months since his passing. Linda, he keeps repeating this, and I think this has come up for you before in a previous live. I'm not gone. I'm here and I'm pushing and I'm cheering for you. He's very much with this. I'm here. I'm here. Don't worry, darling. I'm here. He's supporting you and hugging you and embracing you. And he also is showing me a lot of the energy from the spirit dimensions that he's trying to kind of transfer over to you. That peace, that love, that healing. Spirit, our loved ones do understand our grief and they do support us through that and they do love us through that, but they also kind of shift over into, you're still here and you've got to, this is what I want for you. I want you to keep enjoying your journey. I want you to keep doing this, and I'm here with you navigating through all that. And he's just saying, Linda, lean in a little bit more into that. Just kind of shift, just even if it's like a millimeter, just kind of shift into that. I know you're here, honey, and thanks for being here. And it will kind of help navigate through a lot of that heavy stuff. Um, so Nay, I finally feel ready to get going. I love that. Um, Thank you for all your beautiful comments, you guys, this morning. You guys are so loving, and I just love it so much. I feel action, but I'm the one. Okay, so Deanna, I feel the action, but I'm not the one that moves easily. It's hard to move. It is hard to move, 100%. And that's why Spirit said, even those itty bitty steps forward, even those little efforts to step forward, that helps with motivation. If all you can do is, and I'll say this very lovingly, if the best that you can do is get out of bed and look out the window today, let that be enough, right? With just those tiny steps. If the best that you can do is shift one thought, if the best that you can do is to light a candle and say, thank you for the space that I'm at, or whatever little step you can take, because then we lean into, okay, I'm a little step is a step. It doesn't because we get overwhelmed with the big stuff. We're all aware of the work that we need to do on ourselves and shift. We do have that awareness, right? Usually it's here, in our heart, or or in our higher self, but we are aware of the work that we need to do. We are aware, like, we're aware that we need to take better care of ourselves. We do have that awareness. So if you can just take one little step, one if self-care for you means you're going to have an extra ounce of water today, cheer for yourself, seriously, because little steps lead us into a strength to take the bigger ones. And as humans, we are so hard on ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves, right? So just look at those little steps and let them be enough. Because when you kind of love yourself through those baby steps, guess what? Your self confidence steps up. You start to feel a bit better, and then you're ready to take that big leap. All right. Arise in Phoenix. I'm wanting to clear out childhood trauma. Childhood trauma is a big one, and it's a hard one for so many of us. And the one thing about healing, and I just want to touch base on this, and I probably said this before, the one thing about healing is when we work through our healing stuff, our brain doesn't forget. right? We don't forget what happened to us, but we learn how to navigate through energetically in a different perspective with it, or we learn how to manage things a little bit different. And we don't always understand the trauma that we experience, because most of the trauma that we experience is a result of things that were, we had absolutely no control over, especially childhood trauma. But one thing, when you move through that, go through that very lovingly in the healing space. And when you have a moment where you've come back into that space, love yourself enough with that love and kindness for yourself, because we do think back on things that have happened to us. We do go back. So I really feel healing work is continuous. I am continuously healing and letting go. I am continuously working on that inner child, or that inner teen, that inner youth, that young adolescent within me. Even the version of myself yesterday. I wasn't perfect yesterday. I'm always working on healing and letting go. I can be short fused and stubborn and need to release all that. But I've got a practice that I do that several times a day. Just gonna let that go. I'm going to think about this differently. And it's that shift, right? That kind of helps us. I truly believe we are always healing. I don't feel that, oh, my healing work is done today. I feel like we're always healing through that. And that is very much okay. It's very much okay to be working through things. Gearing up feeling. Yep. Mine is no patient for people's bad attitudes. Aaron, okay, this is a good one. Aaron, I'm gonna lovingly hold you in a blanket of love and light while we talk about this one, because it's a great one. Aaron, when we're impatient with other people's bad attitudes, I want you to use these words to help you through that. So I'll use me as an example. So let's say I have a bad attitude. I want you to say that, think the thought, or say the words, or write it out. Lana is learning patience. Lana is learning wisdom. Lana is learning something. Because when we pick up somebody else's vibration, we're not minding our own spiritual business. We're aware of what their healing work needs to be done. And yes, it's hard. It can be triggering. It can pull us down. But energetically, when we're impatient with somebody else's stuff, we're out of our own lane. And all we can do sometimes is say, you know what? I love you so much, or if it's a stranger, being aware of, they're learning that today, and what can I do to kind of help them? If it's Care Bear stare, or go in and offer a help, it can be one magic word, or one magic lightning bolt of love and light can help somebody in a profound way, right? And I think we've become very guarded with that, with offering help, especially to strangers. We become very guarded with offering help. Because of the way the world can be. Sometimes it's not always safe to reach out and say, "Hey, let me help you with that." But for the most part, most people, when they're expressing their own bad attitude, they're struggling, and to kind of lean into that, it really helps move us through that. That has helped me immensely when I've been able to say they're learning some, even if you don't know what they're learning something today, and bless their hearts, and Care Bear stares them down. It helps, because when we pick up somebody else's vibration, or somebody else's bad attitude, or somebody else's negativity, it chips away at us energetically, and it does cost us a lot of energy, which is why you feel exhausted when you're around things that are negative, or if you're around things that aren't great, or that you don't align with. Just shift out of it. And that perspective keeps us out of judgment, because judgment is not a place that you want to hang out in energetically as well. Oh, hold on, I gotta skip the ads. It just flashed up ads. Okay, there we go. Um, just try that. It even helps with people in your household. They're learning something today. I can be a supportive space, or I can add to their negativity, because sometimes when you finger wave at somebody, you push them further down that hole, and it's harder for somebody else to climb out of it. It truly is, right? I always visualize the open door. The door's open for a different vibration for people too. But we can push people down further into that negativity by shaming them. They're learning something different. Not my journey, right? Okay. I hope that helps you. We all do it, Aaron. Or I think that was Aaron. We all have those moments where it's like, what the, right? Right. So, or we jump in and absorb it rather than observe it. Sometimes even with the people that we love the most, or that we're closest to, we can't absorb it. We can only observe it. You can help people the best from that observation lookout place. All right. Mine is patience for okay, well, I read that one. Sorry, Aaron. Absolutely. It's like shedding the unnecessary baggage. Yeah, and we all have to unpack sometimes, right? We all have to unpack. And sometimes it's like, oh, my suitcase is heavy. What do I need to unpack? Oh, that old thought. Oh, that old that old shirt. Look at it this way as look at it. They're getting very excited with me up there. Look at it as something that no longer fits. Right? If you have, whether you have something in your closet that's too tight or too big, we'll hang on it for a little bit. Then eventually we donate it or give it away to somebody. So it's the same thing with things that no longer fit your perspective. It's okay to empty out that baggage. It's okay to say, "Yep, that's got to go. I got to move forward from that." Hmm. Great conversations today. Last night I started making music for a poem that I wrote. The whole day I've been working on it today as well. I love that so much for you. I hope that you'll share it with us, Cheyenne, when you're ready to. Um, Rubab, is it possible to get a message from spirit regarding love? Um, Just give me a second with that one. I just want to tap into that because I felt the answer to this is going to be very, very juicy, and I felt that it's going to resonate with a few of us. So when it comes to love, and they're emphasizing all forms of love. So rather it be from a romantic partner or from love from friendships, I really feel that I've got to kind of crack open this whole space to be ready to receive it, and I have to kind of lift off conditions. I have to lift off expectations. I have to simply allow the vibration of love. Because when you think of the vibration of love, it's so pure and it's unconditional. But we sometimes get in the way of that. Right. I also feel, Rubab, that I have to allow, or that you have to allow. I'm just tuning in here. You have to allow all of you to be loved, not bits and pieces. So those pieces that are hard to love, those pieces that are heavy to love, those pieces of you that you may not feel worthy of love, I that all has to be included in it, and that includes your own self-love. So you've got to be able to crack open that space of allowing all of that to be loved. It's easy to love somebody's good points and our own good points for that matter, but it's difficult to allow someone to love the parts that are hurt, the parts that are scarred, the parts that have issues. We hold that back. I'll let you love this part of me. I'll let you love this part of me, but not that part of me. Or I'll love this part of myself, but not that part of myself, right? Or, and I didn't mean it body wise. I just meant it like with, through experiences. I've got to kind of embrace that whole piece. I kind of have to all of you. And I feel that there's a piece of you that holds that back. So I need you to kind of say, you know what? I'm going to allow that to flow in, all of it. And we struggle a lot with that and this is a general for a collective statement because of how we view ourselves, right? I'm not good enough. I'm too heavy. I'm too thin. My hair is the wrong color, whatever it is, right? Or this happened to me, or the scars. We have to kind of embrace all of it, and that's how spirit loves us. That's how our loved ones in the spirit dimension love us. Our spirit guides don't say, "Oh, we love the great things that you do," but when you're struggling, we're not really loving that. They may help support us and push us forward, but they don't take away. They don't look at us as a lack of. They look at us, as I said earlier, they're learning that, and we're here to support them. And if we don't want the support, that's okay too, right? Spirit will hold the space. They may stand back a little bit and give you your room. They'll give you the room, but as soon they're always there. All right, that was a good one. um, the unwanted thing. The poem actually is exactly about asking the world to stop doing something a lot of us don't want and insist. Oh, I love that, Cheyenne. Fran, I'm tired of feeling like I'm always taking steps back. So frustrating. Fran, spirit knows your frustration. And when I lean in here, the steps back are perceived. And that's straight from them. It's not. I never give my personal opinion because I stay out of it personally. The steps back are perceived. When it's time for change and it comes back into that whole what I talked about earlier about the action and the unwanted and things have to be perfect aligned for us to make changes in our life, and that whole headstrong, stubborn, heated, the timelines, all of that for all of us. When spirit's saying you're ready. You're ready. You're ready. I feel that it's a push forward and not a step back, and they're showing that to me in at a a heightened volume for you. It's a heightened volume about it's time to start moving. It's time to you're ready, and it's it doesn't have to be in perfect alignment, and you can yeah but this to death. You can yeah but it to death, and we do. We all do it. Yeah but this and yeah but that. The yeah buts are us, not them. That's it's us. And usually the yabbas are the indicators of where we are in that emotional piece that I talked about. And sometimes it might be I'm not ready. Sometimes the situation is never going to be perfect and I've got to accept that. Right? So that those are the pieces that they're shouting at me there. Um all right. Might be on schedule, but it's hard to tell from here. It is hard to tell from here, but and here's the thing with being on schedule. Here's the thing. Time is a physical world thing, right? It's a physical world thing. We are here for an experience. There's no time in the spirit dimensions. We are here to learn certain things. Sometimes it takes us longer to learn something, but you're still here learning it. So you're still on schedule with your growth, right? There's that piece of it that we struggle with. We want things to happen and we want it perfect now, now, now. How many of you have been like that? Now, 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 and it's like the universe is saying, okay, right? But we need to kind of put down that whole time frame and kind of push us in. I'm ready now. I'm ready now. Right. And to stay in that and to kind of let the emotion be the indicator of where the change is. And we do have the choice and free will. That is the other thing that kind of embeds into this. You know, we choose so much of the experience and how things are going to move along as well. But we are right on schedule with the learning. It's not like, and here's what Spirit just said to me. You're right on schedule with the learning because if you were to transition over to the spirit dimensions now, if you were to go over now, and if you were to kind of say, yeah, but this didn't get done, and this didn't get done, and this didn't get done, the spirit's going to say, well, the learning will continue, whether it be up here with us or when we reincarnate back down. And we kind of have to focus on the best that we can in moving forward in the space that we're at. I had to close my eyes because they were writing to me on a chalkboard. Every now and again, they will write to me on a chalkboard. So that's why I had to close my eyes. Um, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm in front of a huge crossroad. Don't feel ready, but I made my decision. Good for you. Good for you. And sometimes, you know what? Our intuition, and I'm sure many of you have felt this. Our intuition will say, "Oh my gosh, I'm really not ready. I'm afraid. I don't know the outcome, but I know I have this power within me that says jump." Take the leap of faith. I have to do this now. There is that deep part within you, your higher self, your inner being, whatever you want, whatever your soul, whatever wording you want to use, your intuition, where it says it's now. And you're gonna take sometimes we take the fear and stuff with us when we leap. We're never gonna do everything without any fear or without any uncertainty, right? There's always gonna be that part of us. And there's so many different reasons, but number one, we're afraid to make a mistake. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to make a mistake. And I've said to the spirit, I don't want to make the wrong decision here. And they're like, I always get pushed back to my gut. I always get pushed back to my higher self or my guides, or I'll hear it or I'll know it. And I got to take those feelings with me sometimes. I'm just going to trust, even though my knees are, excuse me, even though my knees are knocking, I'm going to trust it. Right. There we go. I'm also, and I think the other thing is too, is, nobody likes to fall on their face or skin their knees. And I'll put my hand up with that too. I don't want to skin my knee or bang my chin having a learning experience. I don't want that. But in that, I always take a big breath in and kind of, wipe myself off and say, well, I learned that. and it wasn't the easiest way to learn. And it comes down into that space of we want the easy way. Nobody wants the hard stuff, but sometimes the greatest lessons, the biggest steps forward come from the hard, the long road, right? So it's not so much the journey as the old saying goes, it's the destination, right? And I get the hard stuff. Nobody wants the hard stuff. I don't want the hard stuff either. Um, I know darn well I have to take it one step at a time, but then I feel like I'm missing out or not making enough progress. There's way too many things I love doing. Cheyenne, I truly know that statement, and I feel that statement very deeply. And I really feel that you're not going to miss out. And I truly believe that there's things that we're meant to do, it's going to land in your lap. And I have learned that as well. There were so many things that I wanted to experience and explore with spirit, and I had to kind of work in the level or the grade that I'm at before I can before the next step or before what's coming to me. But when you stay very open, Cheyenne, and I know that you very, very much are, you're wide open. You're wide open to experiences for your highest good. You're not going to miss it. You will go through the processes one step at a time. Um, oh, Lana, I mentioned it last time, but you didn't see it. Also, for others here, I had the idea of possible starting a Discord server for the community here to connect more easily together. Cheyenne, if you can email the hawkandI at gmail.com. And I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'm happy to hear what that or to read what that means, or if you can educate me a little bit on possible starting a Discord server. I'm just not. I don't know what that means. I don't have a lot of knowledge on technology terms, but I'm very open to hear what you have to say, Cheyenne. Um, I want to. I find I want to, but fall back into old habits and old patterns. Diane, that's a very good. That's a very good sentence to make. Old patterns is where we're comfortable, and we can be very comfortable in things that are very uncomfortable just because it's familiar. And it's easy to lean back in there, and I think many of us do, including myself. There are old patterns that I lean into, and I catch myself earlier and earlier or quicker and quicker into that old pattern and saying, "No, I don't wanna go back into that. Yep, that served me then, doesn't serve me now." And I don't look at that fallback as a step back. I look at it as a reminder, I was there before, I'm not there now. I don't have to lean back in there. I don't have to go back to what's comfortable. But I don't look at it as a setback. I look at it as a reminder. That was a different version of me now. And when the more that you're able to recognize it, the more that you pull yourself out of the old pattern or the old behavior, gently with love. Gently with love. When you pull yourself back out of that, you will slowly stop leaning back into that comfort zone. There's a lot of things we find comfort in that are not good energetically, but that version of you didn't see it, right? So, the version of you may not have known something that was harmful or wasn't serving you, or that you were learning. Sometimes we're just learning something, and I've already passed that grade. I've already had that experience. And the more that we kind of shift out of it, because remember, our brain doesn't forget, all of those experiences, and our brain will say, "Yeah, but remember how good that tasted when you were over here? But I'm not over here anymore. I don't have to lean in there anymore." Right? Right. Very good. Um, Dee Dee, I'm gonna have to replay this one. Lots of great info. The conversation's quite exciting today. Spirit is very excited today. I'm really processing at a faster rate today how excited they are, and I can feel my own excitement or their excitement through me. I can feel the excitement today with so much validating messages. Um, Well, if Peyton knows what a Discord server would be amazing. I'm gonna have to look that up. But Cheyenne, send me an email and then I'll be able to communicate that. Okay, where are we going here? I gotta watch the time a little bit. 9:14. All right. Well, I'm just gonna scroll back up. I think I missed a few of you. I do try my best to get to as many as I can. Um, Julie, I'm a huge procrastinator. Wish I was more motivated. So, Julie, what lean into what does motivate you? What motivates you? Um, and feel the answer to that. What motivates you? Or here's the other question that I'll word it to the wording it to you this way. What is the reason for the procrastination? Why do you procrastinate? Sometimes for me, I'll use me as an example. Sometimes it's just physical world laziness. Sometimes I just don't want to, right? Sometimes I'm just lazy. And but sometimes I need to be, right? So I will set a goal. I'm a big journaler. I talk about that all the time with journaling. So I will journal a goal and I'm going to give myself a fair timeline to achieve it. And I start to chip away at it and I allow one step at a time. So sometimes it is physical world laziness, right? We humans tend to like to take the easy way. We don't like to do the work. We don't, right? For the most part. It's just like going to the gym. If when you look at it, and you've got if X number of pounds to lose, and you've got to work out. You're great in the beginning, but the progress is so slow. You say, "Screw this! I'm not going to go to the gym. It's taking too long to lose the weight." Right? So we procrastinate on it, or and it's the same thing with our spiritual journey. We know we have work to do, and we know we have to heal, and we know we have to let go, but we laze out. We get lazy. But if you set a goal and keep it simple, don't weigh yourself down with all this work that has to be done, because that's the other thing is we go, well, there's so much work to do. I'm not gonna do any of it. But when you kind of chip away and start being a support system for yourself with one little step at a time, we kind of learn to get out of that procrastinating role. The other thing with procrastinating is sometimes we're so busy doing a lot of our things that we are obligated to do because there are physical world obligations that we just don't make the time for ourselves or what matters. And that's the other thing. We get so busy, don't we? This has to be done, the house has to be done, these bills, this and that, that we don't pause long enough for ourselves to say, you know what, I gotta spend a minute and just breathe. And it can be a minute. We kind of get ahead of ourselves, or we kind of talk ourselves out of things because of the work. We think with the work, one minute a day for yourself, let that be enough. You'll get to 2 minutes when it's time. You'll get to 3 minutes when it's time. You'll work on the deeper healing as you kind of chip away, but we get very overwhelmed, and when we get overwhelmed, we start to procrastinate, right? So kind of lean into the procrastination in why are you procrastinating, or what motivates you? What makes your heart sing? What and if you don't know, then that's okay. Start asking yourself, what is going to motivate me? Right? So, and when we lean into that, quite often we realize we're not motivated because we're not honoring ourselves either. When do you make time for yourself? That will help motivate you. Okay. I also feel, and this may be a Lana thing, I like to reward myself. At the end of working through something really tough, I like to reward myself. And whatever reward means to you, it can be a new book, it can be, treating yourself to something, it can be I am going to take 4 hours off and ride the couch and just and just kind of stare into the abyss. What motivates you as a reward too? Because that is, we have to be our own cheerleaders, and we have to be our own support systems, and we have to reward ourselves. We can't always look out for other people to say, "Oh, you're doing that well. You're doing that well. Here's something for you." You got to reward yourself too. Okay, I struggle with it too, Julie. I think we all do. We all do. We all have moments. I mean, there are times where um I will struggle with the motivation, and who has my back is my admin Kim. She'll peck at me and it's like, Lana, this needs to be done. Lana, this needs to be done. And she'll just cheer for me to do it. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna gain my momentum back. But quite often we're lacking, we won't be motivated for a few different reasons. So what's the reason for the lack of motivation? What's the reason? And only you can answer that. All right. Um, okay, where are we going? Where are we? There's a lot of validation here this morning. PJ, Len, I'm wondering if you can tap into my cats and let me know if there's anything they want me to know. There are three. PJ, I really feel that your ability to communicate with your cats is quite profound. I feel that you have a lot of knowledge and feelings and connections there. I'm not feeling anything that is jumping out to me. I feel like everything is great. I feel them very happy, but I feel like you've got to kind of build into that space of that allowing them to communicate with you. Just simply allow that inner knowing, allow that energy to flow through. They're very, very happy. I'm not picking up on anything that's jumping out at me there. All right, Peyton and Dee Dee. Peyton and Dee Dee, I'm so glad you're walking taller. You're incredible. Oh, I love that. Look at you guys cheering for each other. Casey J, any messages from spirit for me? I've been a bit beside myself the last few weeks. I'm just having a feeling of that, Casey. Any I've been a bit beside myself the last few weeks. So, Casey, what I feel here kind of comes back into, a little bit of what I talked about today. The emotion is the indicator of what's going on. So when you feel that you've been beside yourself, I feel like there hasn't been a space or a time or a moment where you're allowing some of that overwhelm or beside yourself to have a place to shift out. I feel like there's no quiet moment. I feel like there's no breathing time. I feel like there's not a moment for you. And I feel like I need to kind of say, "I'm gonna pick you up and put you over here for a moment." I also feel what spirit is trying to show you a new direction. So has there been things that have been pointing, because I can see an arrow. Has there been a point of a new direction? Has there been like the same thing coming up for you? Like I feel like there's an arrow saying, just shift over this way just a little bit. And it doesn't have to be, all at once if you're not ready, but I feel like there's a bit of an arrow. So there's a theme here for me. And I feel like it's like a wash, rinse, repeat. And your awareness is trying to show you that there's just it's time to just kind of lean a little bit more this way. I also really feel they're trying to remove the uncomplicated. So I don't know if you're adding to the complication, if you're adding to everything has to be a certain way or everything needs to go this way. They're trying to unravel that. I can see it almost like untangling, and they're removing those that ring toss. It's like this is cool. It's like you're like the ring toss stick, and like there's rings that are being tossed on you. And I don't think the rings are coming from you, but I think that you're allowing the tossing to kind of pile up, and they're removing the ring toss, they're removing the rings off of you. It's like that's not yours, and that's not yours, and that's not yours, but you've been standing in a position for a while that it's been able to be tossed on you. So I need you to kind of look at that. What ring I'm curious to know why the ring toss with you. I don't think I've ever seen that. What ring it needs to be removed, because I feel like you need to help remove some of these rings that have been kind of tossed on you. Very interesting how they're working with that one. um, I have to skip the ads. Hold on, I got an alert. Okay. Um, do I need to worry about my autistic son's mental health with his threats lately? I feel like your awareness needs to be there at all times. Now, that being said, I feel that I need to always have the support systems in. I feel like the support and the awareness and the mental health stuff, I feel like it's just an awareness, the support. I feel like the support systems always have to be there. Now, I cannot predict on whether or not these threats are going to take another step, because that is something that I can't predict. Because of a whole bunch of reasons. There is some mental health stuff, and there is some choice and free will in there as well, a smidge of it. But I also feel though that I just need to continue with the support. I also feel, Horizon Phoenix, that with support, and I see it like those swimming rings that you blow up and they're like a donut, and you kind of when they support you. I feel with support, I feel like your son does very well. I feel like I've got to keep the support, the floaty. And I feel like when I'm floating, when I have my floaty on, I feel like he does the rest of the work himself. I can feel my feet moving, my hands moving, but I feel like the floaty. So the support systems always have to be there. So I feel that when that is in place, I feel like he does very, very well. And I feel like there's a new and I want you to remember that I said this. I feel like there's a new independence coming here for him. And I don't know if he's struggling with some kind of new independence. Has there been something served to him in the last couple months, with more of an independence that you may not have thought of? Has there been something new there? Because I feel when I tapped in a little bit deeper, I felt like there was an independence or something new that he's struggling to kind of embrace or to float into. Perhaps the floating needs to change. Perhaps the support system needs to change. I just feel that very, very strongly. But I feel with that support, I feel him independent. Like I just feel like this independent assistance from him. All right, I hope that helps. I am gonna have to lean over to the book soon. I've got to get myself to Hamilton this morning, which is about a 45-minute drive. So I can't hang on too much longer. Yeah, he's in seventh grade and he's struggling with the teachers and workload at school. Okay, so I'm going to say this lovingly. Okay, I'm going to say this lovingly. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to allow spirit to come through. Change the floaty, change the support. Some of us need more times to learn certain things, and some of us learn things in a different way. So, so you know what? If he's struggling with the workload, lighten the workload. Change the floaty, find a new direction. We all learn things very differently here. Very differently here. How I learn and how I absorb and how I see the world and how I function is different than any one of you. And it's supposed to be that way. So I feel like I need to change the floaty. And I also feel like, and I'm going to say this lovingly, if parts of grade 7 don't get accomplished, spirit shrugging their shoulders, they'll find another way. We'll find another way. Right. And I really feel I just got pulled back to where's my notes from today? Um, there's nothing here it is. Sorry, I just want to go back to what I channeled. There is nothing off with the schedule for him. Right? There's nothing off with the schedule. Yes, I understand we have systems and structures, and this has to be done in this grade, and this has to be done when you're 19, and this has to be done when you're 25. I get all that. But it's okay if somebody needs more time to do it, or somebody needs a different support system, or if we just need to kind of say, big breath in and regroup. I feel like we have to regroup here, change the floaty. Put more air in it, right? Change the floaty, change the support, add what needs to be supported. I really feel that very strongly about this. I feel so much compassion, but I'm going to say this lovingly. I also want to shake up the system and say, you got this wrong, right? I mean that lovingly. There's nothing off in his schedule. He's right where he's supposed to be. Change the floaty. And I say that lovingly, okay? Like when I say I want to shake up the system, it's just like I want them to hear these words. I want to shift how we're processing the feelings and the overwhelm. We need to look at where he's at and the energy that he's feeling, right? Mm-hmm. Change the floaty. I also feel I'm not done. I'm not done. I also feel that he's very like I'm not sure if there's someone in the system that thinks that this is deliberate or that there's more that he can do. I honestly feel yes, there's always a bit more that we effort maybe, but I do feel that he is doing his best from where he's standing. I really need to say that. So somebody along the way here is it doesn't feel that he's doing his best from where he's standing. I truly feel that. I really feel that. Right? Um, I'm also gonna say, and I keep meaning to do a video on this, and I haven't yet, just with timelines and stuff. Autistic children are here to teach us something huge. They are extremely spiritual. They are extremely connected. They are shifting our physical world, and we need to lean into that more rather than what they're not doing. 100%. 100%. So they are big teachers here. Huge. And I have spent a significant amount of time with different levels of autistic children, if from the spiritual perspective, and they're here to teach us. So I feel like if there's more support, we need to listen to that. I'm going to scroll up and see what the comments were with that. Um, as for accommodations, there's nothing wrong with asking for them. He has accommodations. He wants to use the computer, not do his classwork. Then he lashes out at the teachers. Is he overwhelmed? Maybe he doesn't want to do it because it's not working for him. Exactly. Something isn't working for him. I don't feel, and there's the intention stuff. So remember when I said I felt like they were like saying something, he's not doing it and doing the right thing, or he could do more. There it is. Something's not working for him. Something is, and we're all wired differently. And some of us cannot be rewired into the way a mass of people are wired, right? So I really feel I need to work with this. I don't I Something isn't working for him. Um it's the system. We can't expect all children to learn the same. Absolutely. I live downtown Hamilton near Jackson Square. I'm going to be at Mac. And I don't know, so I'm not quite sure. I know my way around very limited in Hamilton. I know how to get from here to Mac. Um I felt super strong about this message too. Yeah, it's very strong, isn't it, Cheyenne? I really feel the lashing out and not wanting to do something may look like he's just lazy or misbehaving, but it's often a huge sign that he's struggling with something. Lots as people have that. I feel that very strongly too. I feel like there's a reason here. I don't feel that it's like laziness or lack of motivation. I feel like something doesn't fit on how I'm learning, and I need to change the floaty. I need to change it. So and I get it. I get systems. I struggle with symptoms, but I do understand. And there's a lot of good in some systems as well, right? Like, I mean, most teachers are doing their best to work within systems that are difficult to work in. It's the same thing as healthcare workers. I mean, I was a nurse for many years, and a good nurse says that I did the best that I could in the system, right? So that I do feel that there's a lot of good in the system, but I feel like it's hard to navigate through. And I just feel I need a little push. I just feel a little push. And I do feel that he is going to do great. We just have to change the floaties for him. This is not going to be, um, uh, I don't feel it as limiting. I feel like once I'm supported, I do the independent work, and there it is. There it is. And I just had that light bulb go off. He's going to do well with supported, and I just feel that if the school or if there's something we can do to change the floaty, I feel he's going to shift. Okay, I really hope that that helps you. I do have to move along, you guys. The ending of a segment is always so tough for me. I see the my whistle here. I've been talking nonstop, haven't I? Spirit's been amazing. You guys have all been amazing. I do need to rest my voice. I do hear it. I was back at a hockey yesterday for a high school hockey tournament, and I got to sit on the other side of the perspective. I got to be in the stands rather than on the bench. So it was very interesting to step out of that role and step into just enjoying the moment. It was well, I always enjoy the moment, but stepping out from being part of a coaching staff to being in the stands was enjoyable. But I do a lot of cheering. My voice has been a little bit tired lately. I'm sure you guys have been hearing it. It's been a little crackly. So I do need to rest my voice soon. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our American friends. Enjoy your holiday. Thanksgiving is such a glorious energy vibrationally with gratitude and being around family and being around friends, and just the energy of being grateful, just that energy of gratitude and saying, like turning up the volume of it and celebrating it. And it's celebrating, the gratitude that we have, right? All right, you guys, let's take a look. Let's just set our intentions for a moment. Let's just kind of bring ourselves into a space of intentions and asking, what does the group collectively need to know? What do we need to know today? What do we need to know? And let's tell you where we go. The seal. Your creative imagination is active and fertile right now. So keep a journal nearby and write in it every day. Your dreams will be very clear and vivid, so pay close attention to them for any messages from your subconscious. A cycle of challenges and hardships is complete, and you're moving into a time of plenty and abundance. Love that. Although it's an emotional time for you, you're quite comfortable experiencing these feelings while at the same time staying grounded. This is a time to stay attuned to your natural rhythms, such as sleeping when you're tired, eating only when you're hungry, and exercising when you feel the urge to do so. This is a time to let yourself experience joy and to be playful. Listen to all that's around you in Listening to all that's around you is important, especially to your feelings and others. Take time to stretch or do yoga in order to keep your body flexible. I love that. Listening to all that's around you is important, especially your feelings. We talked about the awareness of the emotion. There's a lot that we talked about in here, and there's some extra bonus stuff that was juicy too. I love it. Thumbs up if you enjoyed your morning here with me. Friday, I will be back. It will be a brief check in and a brief energy update because I do have to work Friday morning as well. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I do hope you enjoyed your time here with me. As always, I'm wishing you love, light, blessings, and of course, a spirit guided day. Take good care. Much love.